Okay, so today we have Samiyah Leith. She is a Lewis and Clark grad. At Lewis and Clark, she played for the women's basketball team. She was the Lois Smithwick Female Athlete of the Year award winner. She scored 1,189 points and is currently 7th all-time in scoring at Lewis and Clark. Her junior year, she was second team all-conference. Senior year, first team all-conference. 5th all-time for most points in a game, 2 different times with 33 points versus Whitworth and then 33 points versus Linfield. And it said online that these were a week apart. Is that true?
I think so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
they were.
that's awesome. And then also quite the defender in 2017 and 2018. You averaged over 2 steals per game. How did you end up at Lewis and Clark? Because you're from Arizona, correct?
Yeah. It was kind of one of those things where it was like the end of my senior year and I kind of had options to like walk on teams, but I really wanted to play. So I think my dad and I just sat down and we started Googling just all these different schools, and we sent my tape out, and Julie was one of the first ones to reach out, and we honestly went up for the visit and came back, and I fell in love with the program, the campus, Portland, and committed right then and there. So it was kind of just, I was able to go see like what the program was trying to build. I mean, Julie was obviously a very high skilled and level coach, so I really wanted to play for her, and that's kind of how I ended up in Oregon.
How did Julie find you? Do you know?
I think we reached out first. I think I just sent emails. My dad and I just sat down. It was kind of in that process where I had to get over the fact that I had to make the first move to college coaches. And we just sent emails out, just sent my tape out, and it was like, whatever happens, happens. And she reached out and after responded to our emails, and she came down to see one of my games, and we kind of just went from there.
And so when was the moment that you knew that you were going to go to Lewis and Clark? Like when did you call her? Did you tell her in person?
I think it was, if I remember, it seems like forever ago.
Yeah. What year was it? What year did you start going there? When were you a freshman?
2014.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like old now. I believe my grandpa and I visited the campus and we spent the weekend up there, and I want to say that Sunday I told her, she kind of just laid it all out for me. She was very truthful, like playing time, like what I would be to the program, and I'm pretty positive I just told her like, well, I'm in. So
Nice.
It was kind of face to face, which was pretty cool.
That's every coach's dream, to just get the commit right there. So what are some of the, big differences coming from Arizona to then going to Portland, Oregon? Obviously, like I would imagine weather is
Sunlight.
Yeah. What part of Arizona are you from?
So I'm right in Phoenix. I live in like Chandler area, so pretty close to like ASU.
Did you struggle with that change of weather?
It was probably like my junior or senior year where it kind of hit me a little bit more. I think like the first 2 years I was, trying to adjust so much to playing basketball, but also being like a student and kind of just finding my place at the school. But I don't think it was till later of, college that I kind of struggled with like the rain, the snow. I feel like it snowed there so much, but the sunlight was definitely the biggest battle for me.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to stay in Portland like through a summer?
Yeah, so I think I stayed there after my sophomore year. Junior and senior year, I stayed there all year, yeah.
To me, yeah, that's like the best. Right now, today it's like 82 in Portland, and it's such a game changer when you see Portland in those like later spring months going into the summer.
Yeah, it's definitely 111 today, so.
Wow. What did you study at Lewis and Clark?
I did psychology.
Okay. And did you enjoy that path?
I did. I think it was one of those where I kind of just, I wasn't sure what I was going to do after basketball. And I don't think I knew what I was going to do my freshman year. So I kind of just, I don't want to say like picked it, but kind of just decided to go in that route. And then I ended up really liking it, like studying the human and what everyone thinks and different levels of it. I always thought like I would probably go into like social work or even like a teacher, but that's definitely not the case.
So what are you doing now with that psych degree?
Nothing. I'm working at a physical therapy place, and then I decided to go back to school for that. So I did prereqs all of last year because I had to do like anatomy, chemistry, physics, physiology, and then I'll actually start PT school in August in California. So
Congratulations. Coach Christina mentioned that to me when we were talking about this interview. She was super proud of you. Obviously what'd you say?
I said I haven't even told her I got in yet.
Oh, did you post it online or something?
It's probably my dad. He does everything.
Okay. She mentioned that to me when I was talking to her about this interview, but yeah, she was just like, she just mentioned how you're on such a great path. She also mentioned it's cool that you're dating Markel Leonard, who's a former PIO on the men's basketball team, and he has a really cool situation right now also with the NCAA. Do you mind speaking on that a little bit?
Yeah, I actually just got back. What's today? I just got back yesterday. We went to go move him out of Indiana, so that was fun. But yeah, he after undergrad he applied to ASU, had a sports law and business program. Got in there, and he was probably one of the top of his class, and was able to apply to the NCAA internship thing. And that was like a really big deal. I remember, he was telling me there's like 300 applicants or something just for like his one position. It was like very formal, like his first like real interview. He had to go up in like December, get like a whole new suit and everything. It was like a 3-day process. And I just remember him coming back. He's like, I'm not going to get it. Like, there's no way I'm qualified for it. And then a few weeks later, he got the call that he got it. And it was kind of like one of those things where we had to decide, like, well, I can't go. Like, there's nothing in Indiana for me. So that's when I decided just to stay here. And then I did those prereqs so then I could kind of end when he ended as well. So he got to go to Indiana, work for the men's basketball department championships. Really cool. He got to like he didn't put on, but he got to plan everything for the March Madness tournament this year. Kind of all the behind the scenes stuff. He got to like do all the brunches and like who was going to speak and who's going to show up, be like the halftime stars or whatever. So it was really disappointing when they ended up canceling the tournament because it was kind of like all his hard work didn't get to be shown, but it was a really cool experience from it, and he was very lucky to be in that situation, and he got a lot of connections from it. So
that's awesome. I saw his post about just the experience, and I think he mentioned in like the writing that he was bummed out about obviously the situation with COVID, but that's awesome. It's cool to see two PIOs, just rock and rolling, you getting into PT school and him crushing it with his is it an internship? Is that what you would?
Yeah, it's like a paid. He got paid for it, so it was like a job, but it was a 1-year thing. Yeah, so he just ended it. Tomorrow's his last day actually, so he'll be done with that and on to the next thing.
That's awesome. I'd love to talk about transition a little bit and talk about your basketball career at Lewis and Clark. Just to start out, what are some of your favorite memories looking back as your time as a PIO?
Memories. Let's see. It was definitely one when I came in as a freshman. I think there was 10 of us. So that was really cool. I know that's probably a lot, and everyone thought we were a lot, but we were able to kind of like all come in together. We were pretty much half of the team, so we were able to kind of transition together. So that was, we kind of traveled in big sizes, which I kind of liked just because we were able to do everything with each other, and we always had somebody there. So that was pretty cool. I loved preseason, during season, off season. It was kind of just, we were always together. We kind of always had something to do as well. So I always loved, as much as we hated Coach Ange's workouts, it's pretty cool, like getting to work with like the other teams as well. LC really prides itself on, being one culture and one group. And I think like that's one of the benefits that LCA offers is being able to work out with each other and know each other and see what other teams are doing as well.
I was looking at, the breakdown from your freshman to senior year, and I know, or even Coach K pointed this out, but in the first 2 seasons, it looked like the team struggled a little bit record-wise, and then your third and fourth season there as a PIO, things really started to pick up. What was the dynamic as far as like what changed?
Yeah. Well, I think that's when we got Coach P and stuff. I think it was more of like we were able to finally utilize like everybody we had on our team. I think like, the first 2 seasons there was like hidden weapons, kind of where like we weren't utilizing everybody in like their full potential. So I think like those last 2 seasons, like we had, an offense that was able to benefit everybody. And I think that was like the biggest game changer, and everybody was playing in their comfort. Nobody was kind of, being a guard, but also working on post moves. Like everyone was kind of playing within their comfort, and it just really helped with, having an offense that really benefited everybody. And I think that was like the biggest thing.
I've also talking to Coach K, she mentioned that you were the captain, led the team in scoring. What was your experience being a leader on that team? And how has that maybe like helped you transition into your professional world?
Yeah, it was definitely really hard the first season just because I think it was like my sophomore season, coming in with 10 freshmen, we were all kind of like on the same level. In the way that, they wanted that leadership was kind of, I didn't want to step on any toes at that time, being the same age as everyone. So that was very challenging. But it also helped me kind of be able to communicate and taught me like effective communication for like, the professional world. Because it, helps me reach out to everybody, and you can't come at everybody the same way because everybody's different. And even like with my PT school, I had like 3 different interviews, and I had one at Pacific, George Fox, and then Western, which is the one I got into. And I swear when I came home from Western, I was like, Mom, I didn't get that one. Like it wasn't it. But what was funny is all of the questions in that interview were situational questions. And even like during the interview, I swore I told them like, I'm sorry, I'm talking so much about basketball and like being a leader and captain, but that was kind of how everything played out. Like every type of situation, like I learned it from basketball. And being the captain and the leader, it kind of like helped guide me to answer those questions and into the professional world. So that was pretty cool, which I thought.
That's awesome. What were some obstacles that you faced while being a part of the LNC program, and how did you overcome those? Like, what were some difficulties during your PIO career?
Probably us all being the same age. I'm sure you've heard a lot, but it was, kind of hard, like not holding the people accountable, but holding them accountable the right way without also losing the friendships and, stuff we built over the past years. That was probably like the hardest thing, was separating like leadership and friendship, just because we were so close. And I think, being able to separate those two, that was probably the most challenging thing for me.
Do you have any advice for someone if they're going in that same situation? Maybe someone's named a captain that's the same age as the majority of their team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would just know your teammates and know how people are going to respond to things. Talk to them in a way that, you would like to be talked to as well. But also, like, if they respect you, they're going to respect what you're saying. And in the end, if you guys all want that one goal, then there shouldn't be any problem with, holding each other accountable as well.
That's awesome. Is there something that sticks out in your mind as far as something a coach at Lewis and Clark told you that you still apply to your day-to-day life today?
Probably Coach K telling me trust the process. I think Markel and I literally tell each other that a lot. I think she told me that it was like junior year. She told us because I believe we were going up to Puget Sound. They were telling us, kind of the motto was trust the process of it, and I think that's something that like we've carried throughout our after college life, and something that with even like with PT school, like I had to trust the process of doing like the prereq classes, going through all those interviews and waiting. The waiting game was like the hardest part, but it was definitely like worth it at the end.
I love that. If you were a current Lewis and Clark player right now, and you got to have your current self talk to a younger version of you, is there a piece of advice that you would give yourself?
It goes fast, but everybody says that. I would say that it's gonna be okay. I know, like, when I was in college, like, I always thought, like, what was life gonna be like after basketball? Like, what the heck was I gonna do? But, like, you'll figure it out. Like, it comes to you naturally. And don't stress about it. Like, don't, like, stay in the moment and play your game, because you only get, these last 4 years unless you go forward with it. But just play your game and everything else will pretty much fall into place.
Did you struggle with retiring?
I did, yeah. I think, basketball I've been playing since I was 4, so it kind of helped that, after I had a plan to come back home and then, start working. But even just watching, I would watch the games the year after, and it was really hard watching and not being able to be out there, or not even being as like active as I used to, or being able to go out there and do what I could. Like it was extremely hard for a little bit. But
do you find yourself filling like that competitive void with work, or have you picked up new hobbies, or what do you do now to kind of get that competitive spirit?
Well, my younger brother is about to go into high school, so I think like helping him through that. He's pretty competitive himself, and like we'll go shoot when he wants to go shoot, so that kind of fills it as well. But also kind of just giving him like advice and like guiding him through like the rights and wrongs of like the recruiting process, and entering high school, like what you should be working on. Like that's something that's really helped kind of cope with it. But it was also easier when I realized like how great of a career I did. Sorry, that's the ring.
Oh, you're good.
How great of a career I did have, and I kind of did leave everything on the table, so that was something that was able to. I kept telling myself like I couldn't have done anything more personally, so that kind of helped me cope with everything.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you wish you would have taken advantage of at Lewis and Clark as far as outside of athletics?
Was it like the career development center or the career center?
Mm-hmm.
I think like going in there and kind of like laying out what potential future endeavors would be, just so I wasn't so stuck after. Kind of just just seeing what is out there. I wish I would have done that a little bit more.
That's awesome. I agree. I also was a PIO, and I wish I would have taken advantage of that more too. Okay, last question. What are some of the things on the court that helped you take the biggest jumps from being an underclassman to an upperclassman, and the the development that you had from being just a good player to an all-conference player? Are there any things on the court that stick out?
I think it definitely helped that Aisha was a year ahead of me, so I always had somebody to compete against, and I wanted to beat, and she never let me. So that was kind of freshman to sophomore year, playing against her, trying to get her spot. Like that was my motivation, was to beat her. But she's just as competitive as I was. So just always, trying to be like the best player on the court was kind of my thing. And even with like running, like I wanted to be the first done, not just because I wanted to be the fastest, but I knew if I was the first one done, it would push other people to want to beat me. So when they want to beat me, I can also push myself harder to beat them as well. So that was something that I always, going against Aisha was something I always looked forward to. And I'm sure she'll probably say the same.
I love that. Thank you for taking time out of your night. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.